Imagine this. You're sitting in your home, the lights are dim, your dog quietly rests at your side, and for a moment, the silence feels almost normal. But then you hear it, a knock at the door. It's late, too late for a neighbor, and in this world, the sound of knuckles on wood is more terrifying than any gunshot or scream. Because outside, there are people who look human, they talk like us, act like us, but deep down, they aren't. They're visitors, and if you make one wrong decision, if you let the wrong person inside your home, you won't live to see tomorrow. This is the world of No, I'm Not a Human, a game about survival, mistrust, and choices, where every knock on the door could mean your salvation or your death. Every knock is a test. Every decision pushes you closer to one of the game's 10 endings. Some of them are tragic, some of them are strange, some of them even triumphant. But the question players keep asking is this: if there are 10 possible endings, which one is the real one? Which is the canon ending to I'm Not a Human? To answer that, we need to walk through every single possibility. We need to look at the choices, the imagery, the unsettling details, and what each ending says about the story. Only then can we figure out which conclusion was meant to close the book. So, let's begin. This is one of the most disturbing and layered endings in the entire game. Child of Doom begins when the seductive woman arrives at your door earlier in the game. She looks human, fragile, and even desperate for help. Unlike other visitors, she doesn't act aggressively or demand anything from you immediately. If you let her in, she becomes a part of your home. She talks to you, interacts, sometimes leaves food, and shows subtle signs of vulnerability. But soon, you notice something strange. Each night, her stomach grows larger, way faster than any normal pregnancy. It's unnerving and almost surreal. There are hints in her dialogue that she's dependent on your protection. She seems to expect that you care for her. Eventually, she dies suddenly inside your home. There is no warning, no violence, just quiet, an eerie death. Afterward, you discover the fetus she left behind. This infant is grotesque. Sometimes it's found feeding on your dog, sometimes it's hidden in one of the rooms in your house. The placement seems random, which makes the ending feel dreamlike and confusing. Interestingly, after shooting the fetus with your gun, the cultists come to worship the protagonist, seeing him as a savior or a figure of importance. The duality here is striking. With the protagonist helping the seductive woman, he became a caretaker, a protector, but also an enabler of something monstrous, a figure to the cultists, almost like a god. The ending leaves players with a sense of moral confusion. Did the protagonist save her? Did he create a new horror? Is the cult right to worship him, or is it ironic? Overall, players question what the hell is happening in this ending. The next ending is often called the good ending, but its nuance lies in subtle ambiguity. To reach it, the player must survive all 14 days without letting any visitor gain entry. You monitor each knock through the peephole, carefully track each visitor's behavior, and refuse entry to anyone who looks suspicious. Your house becomes a fortress. You barricade doors, check traps, and survive through pure caution and observation. On day 14, you board up your windows and doors completely. It seems like victory, but then the screen shows the end with a tiny question mark. The question mark is crucial. It suggests doubts. Were you really safe? Did you truly survive? Or have you just delayed the inevitable? It's almost as if the game itself is disappointed in you, reflecting the protagonist's own frustration. You survived, but the ordeal feels unresolved. The victory is hollow, almost bitter, leaving a lingering sense of unease at what lies ahead of your future. In the Third ending, similar to the ending which we just went over, your careful vigilance fails slightly. You survive most of the game, but somewhere along the line a visitor slips past your defenses. Perhaps you let someone in out of pity, or maybe your attention lapsed for a single night. By day 14, when you seal up your house thinking you've succeeded, you discover that you are not alone. The intruder could be anyone, a visitor you misjudged, someone who appeared harmless, or even a creature hiding in plain sight. This ending emphasizes that no matter how careful you are, complete control is impossible. You can survive, but not without risk. The horror here is compounded by the revelation that your meticulous planning failed, and the player is left to imagine what these intruders might do next. At first, the visitors take their time, trying to make the perfect situation to take over the shelter, and well, we already know the fate the protagonist had ahead. The fourth ending involves the cult. If you allow the cultists to enter your home and spare them, the cult leader eventually arrives. He offers you a choice: surrender, join them, and let go of your independence. You become a part of their ideology, participating in rituals and embracing their worldview. The game frames this as kind of a cleansing, a release from paranoia, but it's also a surrender. The protagonist trades freedom for acceptance, safety for control. While this ending is thematically rich, it doesn't give the narrative closure. It shows one path of human behavior under stress, surrendering to authority, but it is clearly not the canonical resolution. Another authority ending occurs if you follow the orders of FEMA agents without question, FEMA being the company that is known to lie throughout the game and is overall a very deceptive organization. They take you away, but the game doesn't show what happens next. You comply fully, but the cost is autonomy. You escape danger, yes, but at the price of freedom. This ending works as a commentary on blind trust in institutions during crisis, but it does not resolve the protagonist's story. In the end, you are left being a lapdog for FEMA. You're not a human anymore, just a gear in a machine following orders. If the player chooses to reject everyone, never letting anyone inside, the intruder eventually finds a way in. The protagonist is completely isolated. Although he could lie and say there is no one in the home, most players will only get this ending if they choose to have no one inside with them. The intruder's arrival is sudden and merciless. By closing himself off, the protagonist ultimately ensures his own demise. This ending warns against extreme mistrust. Complete isolation, though seemingly safe, makes survival impossible. You need to play the game. By ignoring the rules, you meet your own fate. Nobody is there to help you. Paranoia can drive the protagonist too far. If you kill multiple human visitors out of fear during the chances of interacting with guests, Egghead Guy judges you. A person who is seen throughout the game as not a guest or a visitor, but as someone who gives you guidance in riddles. Your actions are irreversible. You've become a murderer. Eventually, you try to kill yourself in fear of the outside world. However, the other guests inside your home don't let you have this mercy. They beat you up, cutting you down. Eventually, you're placed in an open field, unsure if you're even breathing or not. This ending is morally dark, showing the consequences of letting fear override reason. It's one of the most disturbing endings because it forces the player to confront the protagonist's descent into monstrosity, mirroring the very visitors he feared. surreal hidden ending occurs by letting the cat lady in on day 4, a lady who looks to be disfigured holding a small orange cat beside them for an unknown reason. When you let them in, you gain access to mushrooms in the basement, collect them and eat them, then follow the Mushroom Man, one of the very random guests you could find in the game, to Mushroom Land, a whimsical, dreamlike world entirely detached from the horror of the main game. It's playful and bizarre, offering an odd form of escapism, but it has no bearing on the canonical story. Overall, this ending was most likely just a gag, just the developers having fun with the idea of getting high. The Vigilante, one of the random characters you find across the game, tests your humanity. He inspects your hands, your teeth, your aura. Failure results in immediate death. This man has killed your neighbors outside your house, holding trophies as fingers or teeth, really whatever he could get his hands on. If you fail his test, he will try and shoot at the protagonist, however, he is prepared. In the end, the Vigilante dies, with the protagonist stating he will kill as many Vigilantes just like him to stop them from hurting innocent people. This ending is short, shocking, and brutal. It emphasizes the paranoia and judgment present in the game worlds, but again, it's just a branch, not a canonical ending. It offers nothing to the protagonist, and overall sheds no more mystery on the outside world. Finally, the most mysterious ending in the game, Embrace the Inevitable. Complete Egghead Guy's request, uncover the hidden basement tunnel, and meet the miner. He warns you to turn back, but if you press forward, you finally step into the unknown, and here, the protagonist does something remarkable. He meets what seems to be like the version of God in the world, a bright figure who hints it knows about the future before the protagonist even experiences it. He doesn't fight, panic, or resist. For the first time, the protagonist is calm, relaxed, at peace, no fear, no uncertainty, just acceptance. The protagonist eventually walks a path leading to her house, but he doesn't seem unaware of the situation he's in. This was home to him. Although he was confused on how he got there and even forgets, he feels peace. He doesn't want to leave. Throughout most of the endings, we see the protagonist visiting a small house, secluded from the outside world, usually in dreamlike bubbles. Maybe it's heaven in his eyes, a wonderland he always wanted. We do note that the protagonist is lonely and seen as introverted throughout the entire game. Perhaps this is what he always wanted, a true escape from reality, an escape from people. Looking at all the 10 endings, a clear pattern emerges. Punishment endings like Child of Doom, Alone, or Murderer show consequence, confusion, or horror, but not resolution. Social or compliant endings like Cult and FEMA explore the human tendencies but leave the main story unresolved. Surreal endings like Schumer Doom and Vigilante distract or shock but offer no closure. Even the good ending, the end, leaves doubt. Only one ending can be the victor. Embrace the inevitable. Why is this the only ending where the protagonist is happy? Because the story isn't about surviving visitors, it's about accepting the inevitable. Even when comparing it to the best ending in the game, the protagonist is disappointed, almost like he didn't want to live another decade. In my opinion, the canon ending is Embrace the Inevitable. It's the only time the protagonist is truly at peace. Every other ending leaves fear, uncertainty, or moral ambiguity. Although most would see this as depressing or strange, for the character we play, it's the only ending where he feels happy. In every other ending, every other path, the protagonist is sad, mentioning his terrible father and how his life before the visitors was bad even before they came. All he wanted was peace, and in this ending, he got it. In the end, the canon ending of No, I'm Not a Human isn't about victory, traps, or careful planning. It's about letting go, about accepting what cannot be changed, and in that release, the protagonist finally finds freedom. He embraces the inevitable.